Alright everybody, how's it going? My name is Nick from East Coast Hero, and behind me we have our latest project. We're going to be doing this in collaboration with our good friends at Driven Auto, Cody LeBlanc. He was the one that actually found this car way up in Vermont, and gave me a call, said, hey, I have something that I think you're going to love. This is it. This is a 1991 BMW 325i convertible. This is a two-owner car with only 36,000 documented. That is the important part, especially the E30s, documented miles. So we're going to be in the process of doing a mechanical refresh on this car. It's been sitting for about the last 5 years or so. It's, inside in a nice garage, so it's actually in really nice shape underneath all this grime on the top. So we're gonna give her a little refresh and make sure she's running good, do the timing belt, make sure she's gonna be safe for somebody to actually enjoy if they want to, or just continue to preserve in the great condition that it's in right now. So stay tuned. Alright guys, we're going to give you a little tour of some of the things we're going to be tackling on this car. Some of the things that we noticed about it while we're kind of going through it already. Just kind of an initial run through of what we found so far. So, in the engine bay here, obviously you can see low mileage. It's, everything's there, but it's looking a little tired, a little sad. Other than this is beautiful. You never see this clean. Right around here, you can obviously tell valve cover gaskets leaking oil. So we're going to do valve cover gasket, clean up the valve cover, make that look really nice. We're going to do some new heat shields, pop these off, make sure that the all the exhaust studs are in good shape. No exhaust leaks from the manifolds or anything like that. The rest of the piping looks good. Everything else below it looks good. You can see this car is really clean. Frame rails, no rust at all anywhere on this thing. Battery tray is actually in really nice shape, even under all the dirt. Get a new battery for it, get that all cleaned up in there. New timing belt, water pump. We're gonna replace pretty much all the hoses, all the cooling hoses, just because they're rubber and they're really old. Obviously a new tune-up, spark plugs, ignition coil, cap and rotor. Make sure it's gonna be running nice and smooth. Obviously we're gonna do an oil change. Probably flush out the rear differential, get the transmission fluid. We'll take a look at that, make sure that's okay. Coolant, obviously, when we do the, all the gaskets, everything. And after that, these cars are pretty stout. They don't need much, especially when they've been, they don't like to sit, but when they're sitting in a, a good environment, they tend to stay pretty nice, which this car has been. So we got really lucky with this one so far. So let's see how that goes. All right, so moving on to the interior of the car, we have lovely gray sport. A lot of these cars come with, maroon, which is beautiful. I love the maroon. But I actually like the gray. That's not so common to see on these, and I think it's actually really nice. So it's not in perfect shape. It's cracking a little bit here, but you guys will be shocked with how nice this looks once we give it to Cody for a nice detail. Dash is, as far as I can see, crack free. So we're going to make sure we do everything we possibly can to preserve that. A lot of times once these got into the sun, they do tend to crack right up, but I have some tricks to make sure that doesn't happen. Back seat, pretty nice. A little splitting at the top, but if anybody's ever seen an E30, they all do that. So again, we'll get this cleaned up, do the best we can. We're not going to do a whole ton of restoration type stuff to it. Largely because this thing's kind of a time capsule the way it is. So, you know, it's not going to be a car we're going to keep around forever. We're going to pass it on to somebody and give them the option to, you know, either make it a perfect example of, you know, a super low mileage car, or keep some of the, you know, little patina things, maybe keep a little rip in the back seat, but make it really nice, make it something that, you know, you can enjoy, and just keep it kind of as like a time capsule. So stay tuned, we'll see how it comes out. Oh, one last step. I gotta remove this. And then we'll get it. Pop that line off. Kind of nice and clean it is underneath. Let's see what we're dealing with under here. Alright, this is there to do one-handed. Hold on. Ta-da! It's off, and it's actually looking not too bad. Not too bad for a car that's been sitting around for a very long time. Alright guys, just finished taking off all the accessories off the front of the 36,000 mile convertible we've been working on here. I peeked at the timing belt before we started this job, and I just want to show you guys exactly why I say always, always, always change your timing belt. If you don't know for sure when it was done, if you don't know for sure it was done right, it's worth the 50 bucks, whatever it costs for the timing belt kit. Just do it, because take a look at this one. So as you can see here, this thing has been rubbing pretty significantly. Focus on there or not, but that would definitely be an issue. Now I gotta figure out where it was rubbing so I can make sure this does not happen again. But otherwise, you know, that timing belt looks pretty fine. Don't see any major dry rot or cracking. We'll see what it looks like when I can finally take it off and bend it backwards. That is the real test. That will really show us what it looks like for sure, because if the cracks are all pushed together, it might look fine right now, but you know, the more I'm looking at it, I'm thinking this thing's actually pretty dry rotted. So we'll see here in a little bit. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to set the motor to top dead center, so we can get the timing belt off, make sure it stays in time, and get the new one on without any issues. So people always find this to be a little difficult, so I know there's a million videos on this, but I want to make another one. Here is the upper timing mark. You can see the line just below my finger right there. So I'm just trying to clean it off so it's a little bit more visible. On the actual cam gear, you can see right there pretty clearly, that is the upper timing line right there. So you just want to line those two up, while at the same time lining this ridge right here on the lower timing cover up with the mark on the inside of the cam gear here, or the whatever the sprocket is, you know what I'm talking about. So let's see how we can do. So movie magic here. We used a 22 millimeter wrench on this lower Jesus bolt right here. The lower timing mark came in perfectly. You can see the ridge right there on the lower sprocket. Beautiful. And look at that. We're right in time up top too. I know somebody in the comments is gonna say it's off, but I'm looking at it with my eyes. You were looking at it through my camera. So, ha! All right, so once you were at top dead center, everything's off at this point. Probably should do what I forgot to do earlier, which was take off the crank sensor, so you don't damage that. So let's do that. Then we're gonna remove the crank gear right here. That comes off with a mallet. You wanna make sure that you're not damaging the gears at all. And you also wanna make sure you just give it light taps, like all the way around it, until it just kind of finally breaks free. You can spray some, penetrant in there if you want to like help it get loose. But you don't want to bend it. You don't want to dent it. You want to make sure you keep those gears nice and crisp, so that your crank sensor can read properly and you are running good. So let's do that. Once you do that, then we can release the bolt that holds the timing belt tensioner. So it releases the pressure on the timing belt tensioner pulley right there. Then we can remove, this is just on the end, ignore that, the inside bolt right here. Well, once this comes off, this can slide off. You take the bolt off and get all the rest of this off, slide the timing belt off, and we're ready to go back together.
Just tell me what to